Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and current events from around the world. We've got a packed show for you, with stories ranging from international politics to military training programs. Let's start with some developments in global relations. Tensions between nations have been on the rise, and countries are taking steps to bolster their defenses. Poland, for instance, has announced plans to offer military training to all its citizens. The Always Prepared program aims to train 400,000 people in 2026, with a focus on survival skills, first aid, and cybersecurity. This move comes as Poland seeks to boost its military readiness in the wake of Russia's war in Ukraine. The country has significantly increased its military spending, now allocating more of its GDP to defense than any other NATO member. Poland's defense minister, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz, emphasized that the program is designed to prepare citizens for any scenario, citing the example of Ukraine, where people were caught off guard when Russia invaded in 2022. Meanwhile, in other news, China and South Africa have signed a new trade agreement aimed at deepening their economic ties. The deal includes a new export program that will allow South African farmers to sell their products to Chinese markets. This development comes as the two countries seek to strengthen their partnership and increase cooperation on global issues. In Africa, Cameroon's President Paul Biya has been sworn in for his 8th consecutive term after winning last month's presidential election. However, the opposition candidate, Issa Takairoma Bakary, has disputed the results, alleging fraud and calling for a recount. The situation remains tense, with many citizens expressing concerns about the country's democratic process. We'll be keeping an eye on these stories and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. We'll also be exploring other major news events from around the world, including the ongoing conflict in Sudan and the latest developments in the U.S. presidential election. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into a complex and sensitive topic in the Middle East, where the situation in Gaza remains a pressing concern. A potential international force is being considered to help maintain security in the region, but the details are still being hashed out. As we explore this story, it's essential to acknowledge the various stakeholders involved and their competing interests. On one hand, Israel is pushing for a force that can effectively disarm Hamas and prevent future attacks. On the other hand, countries like Egypt, Turkey, and Qatar have their own visions for the region, which may not align with Israel's goals. Experts are weighing in on the possibilities, with some suggesting that a peacekeeping force similar to the United Nations operation in Lebanon could be effective. However, others argue that such a force might not have the necessary mandate or will to take on armed factions like Hamas. One potential solution being floated is the creation of a new Gaza, within Gaza, where international forces would maintain control over a significant portion of the territory, allowing for economic development and prosperity. This approach could potentially lure Palestinians away from areas controlled by Hamas, but it's unclear whether such a plan would be feasible or acceptable to all parties involved. As the international community navigates this challenging situation, it's crucial to consider the perspectives of all stakeholders and strive for a fair and balanced solution. The United Nations is playing a key role in these discussions, with several countries pushing for a Security Council resolution to support a potential peace plan. The path forward will undoubtedly be complex and require careful diplomacy. As we continue to follow this story, we'll provide updates and insights to help you understand the evolving situation in Gaza. Welcome back to the Concrete Block. Today, we're diving into the complex world of oil prices. With so many factors at play, it can be difficult to understand what drives these fluctuations. From fiscal policies and currency exchange rates to global demand and supply chains, each element plays a significant role in shaping the oil market. One key aspect often discussed is the influence of oil exporting countries' financial plans on oil prices. However, as we've explored, this connection isn't always straightforward. The relationship between these financial plans and oil prices can be nuanced, influenced by a myriad of other factors including geopolitical events, technological advancements, and even natural disasters. Another crucial factor is the concept of surplus capacity within OPEC and cooperating countries. High levels of surplus capacity can indeed suggest a ceiling on prices, as producers have the ability to respond quickly to changes in demand. Conversely, low surplus capacity implies a potential floor for prices, as producers are less capable of overproducing and weakening the market. Market fundamentals, particularly the balance between supply and demand, are also pivotal in determining oil prices. Although data on global oil demand and supply can be outdated, inventory changes serve as a reliable surrogate for understanding the supply-demand balance. The weekly petroleum statistics report is especially important, providing timely and fairly accurate insights into approximately 1/5 of the global market. Despite these factors, it's essential to remember that predicting oil prices involves considering numerous variables interacting in complex ways. Opinions of traders, geopolitical tensions, and even environmental policies can all impact the direction of oil prices. As we navigate through the maze of information on oil prices, it's crucial to avoid the logical fallacy of assuming correlation equals causality. Not every factor that precedes an event is its cause, and understanding this distinction is vital for making informed decisions. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.